I am back, and I've been busy this weekend. So not only did I make Ralph's hands, and these are removable. I make a left and a right. Removable arm rods, which I'm not going to remove because it's too much trouble to get them back in. But should I down the road decide that I want to have them be removable, they're removable. And these are the first mill and pull puppets to have removable arm rods since probably 98. So, and then in addition to that, I also made Ralphie's arms. And if you notice, this is just something I do. As long as I have all these colored shoelaces, I try to make them like so they'll be matched. I try to figure out like, okay, Ralphie has blue arms and Ralph has green sleeves. So that's how I pick these colors. It doesn't really matter. But in addition to this, I also made all the arms for the side project, the commission I have going on. So again, I've been pretty busy. And they're corresponding to the colors for those as well. So as long as I have all these multiple colors, I'll do this. And when it gets down to just having white laces or whatever, I'll just go do that. I think Sam's are gold, and I think Mayberry's are, they might be, oh, it looks like his are like off work boots. So I'm not always consistent with that. Anyway, I know you're all dying to see what else I have going on, and I have basically cut out all of Ralph's arms. I haven't started stitching him yet. So the one thing about Ralph's arm, the Mill and Pull Puppets arms, is there's no structure in here at all. It's just a hand. Let me zoom this out a little bit. It's just a hand with a shoelace and then some polyfill in there. And that's because they're they're cartoon characters, and I don't really feel like giving them too much structure. I've been toying with the idea of using the tubing like I do on all the other puppets, but I think it's probably too late to change right now. Because, and let me tell you why. The reason is because I already have 2 of them made. The third one almost finished, and if I had to start putting bones inside these arms, then I'll have to do it. I'd have to do it on all the old ones too, and I don't want to have to deal with it. I don't want that type of responsibility. Hey TC, nice hand strings, not shoestrings. Yeah, they. I don't know who would buy these shoelaces. Maybe a bunch of kids, but I think I got 36 for like $15. And they came in multicolors, so it helps me keep it straight when I just do a bunch of arms that I can at least match up the left to the right. But anyway, so the way these work, what do I do with my patterns? Oh, the way these work is, again, it's just polyfill in there, kind of loosely packed to give it some bulk. And then I have this sleeve that goes on like this. This would be out of the green or the blue fabric. And I'll machine sew that. So hopefully it's not just, I'm actually going to get one arm done that I can put online. I can actually put on them today, which would be nice. So let me get started. What are you working on, TC? Everyone at the roller rink in 82 would buy those for sure. You're probably right. You're probably absolutely right. I know for the longest time, because I wear pretty much the only shoe I wear are Vans, just because I like the color. And I always get a second pair of shoelaces with them. So many puppets that I've done over the years have the spare set of Van shoelaces in there. I do kind of like that there's uh, some uh, some uniform, like I have the almost exact color that I'm using for this. This is the color. This is the color of his outfit, and that's the color of his shoelace, which is kind of fun. And I've had that fabric, I think, since the original um, Melonpool puppets. I think I bought a yard and I've managed to not use maybe the second one. Maybe this is the second one that I put those on. Headed back to my frog builds. Life keeps getting in the way of building here lately. Yeah, I feel like this weekend I was going to do a lot more, but I ended up doing a lot of puppet events. This weekend, so I didn't get a whole lot done to this weekend either. I have a feeling that this particular podcast is going to just show everybody just how bald I am. I was very careful when I posted a picture just a few minutes ago about me laying out both Ralph and Ralphie's. I only had so much of the skin color left, and I laid out all the pieces I had left to cut, except for the nose, and there was just enough fabric. And then I started cutting out the fingers and the hands, and I was like, did I do the same amount of lefts and rights so that they'll match up? And I checked it 3 times, and yes, I did. I did it correctly, but I can just barely see. I recovered from the last of the of the 3 injections I had to have, so looks like I'll be able to see another for a while longer, which is good. Hopefully, I can get another 10 years out of this batch. So the hardest part of this, and honestly, I probably could have machine sewn a good chunk of this arm, but I don't like to have to brush out the fingers if I can help it. So I just decided I'd bite the bullet and hand sew the whole darn thing. But every time you see my bald spot, an angel gets its wings. How many frogs you can be making? Or I can't remember if you were just trying to come up with a pattern or if you were making a bunch of frogs. Biggest thing is to just make sure they're tight stitches, tight little stitches, because you want to make it so you can't see the stitch if you can help it. I mainly want to do the glove part and then up one side, and then I'll do the ladder stitch from the front on the rest of it after I put the padding in. I think in the old, like the ones that I have, the old Ralph arms, there's foam in here. There's foam in here, and there's no elbow, so they can barely get any movement. The only reason there's an elbow at all is because I put a zip tie, which I can feel right here, right there. And then I used to use the doll joint, which basically I had a little rubber grommet that I made instead of the stop that I could keep on there. And then over the years, they got less and less effective. But, you know, it worked. And then the idea was that I could make a second set of arms that didn't have the rods. And then I could just change out the arms, and then I could have the removable arm rods. But actually, it's the whole original arm. But it's interesting the way my way of building has changed over the years. I try and keep these registration marks as lined up as I can. I'm already off, but it shouldn't be a big deal. The other thing I tried to do was keep the stretch going the same direction all the way through. I got 3 of the 4 arms with the stretch in the same way. And then I had to do one arm on the diagonal. So I haven't decided yet if just one arm's going to have the stretch different, or if I'm going to divvy that up amongst the other 2 arms. But what do I care? That's Ralphie. That's Ralphie's problem. Now, in the comic, Ralph would routinely mess his body up. Like he fell into a lava pit at one point. He went through cellular degeneration on 2 occasions where his nose fell off, things like that. And what he would do to solve it would be he'd just swap bodies with Ralphie. He saw Ralphie as a spare. I very rarely did gags about like mistaken identity, although I did do a few of those. But it was always fun to try and draw them, since they are the same character design, but to make it really apparent that it was Ralph trying to be Ralphie just by this posture or the way he held his arms, because I was very consistent about that to make him look different. There was one comic I did where they had swapped places, and the way they did is they put a boomerang in each other's mouth, in the mouth, so that Ralphie could frown and Ralph could smile. I mean, it's a pain having to do all this by hand, but I do think it's worth it. It's maybe not on, on every puppet, but on the ones that are your one of your signature puppets, I guess. if you have a signature puppet or something for TV, I think it's worth it. If I was just selling this in a online or something, I might machine sew it. All the Tilly puppets that I sell at conventions. Those are all machine sewn too. And it's just a matter of like being able to like they're not really intended to be TV puppets or hide the seams too much. So I think I can get away with it. It's also stronger to machine sew everything. So oh, that's cool. It says I'm working towards a bunch of different colored frogs, 8 or 9 for a con in August. Let's see, I've been on here for 17 minutes. And I've got one finger done. I think after I've been on here for an hour and a half, I should have 2 fingers. I'm trying to get as close to the edge as I can without, you know, picking through the backing, but just so that when I turn it right side out, it'll be less noticeable. And if I was machine sewing this, I would want to make sure each of the fingers had a flat area at the bottom of the where the fingers go together. So at least one stitch was down there, so that when I cut it out, that I could cut right up to that stitch, and it wouldn't unravel or break the thread. The biggest thing is to try and make sure with each stitch I don't catch a finger in the thread and cause a big loop, or worse yet, a finger that's kind of has a thread that I can't get rid of. I might make one of these arms and then get out the sewing machine and make both the sleeves so that I can show you what it kind of looked like when it's all put together. I just want to get that finger out of the way. Again with the finger. See, I almost caught that finger in there. Yeah, but see, one of the things is too, like, if I had thought ahead, if I had had enough fabric to allow a seam allowance, I could have I could have very easily have machine sewn both of these arms up. Um, but um, because I didn't give it a seam allowance, I can't do that. So that's another way I could have saved time on this thing and effort. Because this, I'll never take this shirt off of him. So, but there's a reason I do it this way. I on the original Mayberry that I did with BJ, he had this setup where he had the sleeves that went over the arm, and I only had enough fleece to do the hands. And no matter how hard I tried, those sleeves would ride up just high enough that you could see that there was no fabric above that, and it always bothered me. So it was just easier to go all the way up to the shoulder because I knew that if it did ride up, it wasn't going to be that big of a deal. It wouldn't be that noticeable. And so that's kind of what I've done. I mean, I very rarely make the body, do the fleece covering for the body. I usually just, if they're not going to change their clothes, why bother? I think probably the reason to bother is for that one time you need to have their body. But for the Melonpool characters, I don't really care. I really don't even know why I'm making this other than just to have it. It makes me happy to have this puppet again. Put some past trauma behind me. Boy, having that puppet stolen was, I think, probably for about a year afterwards. I would drive in the complex and check all the dumpsters in the office complex and also the neighboring office complexes to see if somebody had ditched it in the trash there. And it was kind of insane too, because I mean, a full year or two afterwards, still going after it, but just a hope that it would be out there someplace. I'm not. A lot of people think it's weird that somebody would steal puppets, but I don't know. People steal just about anything, I guess. Yeah, I think that there's something to that. The meditation effect of hand sewing. I really like to I like to machine sew on clothing and the inner stuff, if I can. But I try to hand sew just about everything that has to do with it. This like the puppet's body, just because I like, and I there's certain fabrics that I use for the bodies that I don't use for the outfits for the most part. Mayberry's shoes are made out of some old crank anchor's fleece, and it's always bothered me that his fleece are like the same, like he's wearing the skin of some other puppet as his shoes. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to make legs for him. I suppose I could. I made them for Sam and Mayberry, so if I kept the trend going, I could make legs for both these guys at some point. I'd probably do the same thing that I did with Eddie, where it's on a chip clip so that I can just clip them on if I need to use them. Yeah, I mean, I guess it had the effect of making me feel like it was worth something to somebody, but I really think it was because it was so tight that they got it stuck on their hand and then bolted with it. Because, especially, I mean, these are tight, but they're looser than the ones that got stolen. Because I actually two got stolen, Sam and Ralph. And I rebuilt Sam, but the insurance, because the insurance said, okay, rebuild it. Where is all this thread coming from? Rebuild it, and we'll give you you can itemize what it costs you to rebuild them, and then we'll cut a check for that much money. So I itemized the whole thing. I used all the best materials, and I estimated it was worth, I think, $2,000. And they're like, yeah, it's not worth that much. So I never bothered to rebuild Ralph. I don't think we paid our insurance after that either. All right, 2 fingers down. Or, yeah, 2 fingers. Okay. So I might be doing a puppet show. Well, I said I would do a puppet show, which I'm not much of a performer, so we'll see how I do. But it's for a 6-year-old's birthday party coming up. I have no idea what I'm going to do. They all know my puppets anyway, so if you have any ideas, I thought I might like retell a kid's story or something, or do some. He's really into like Minecraft, so maybe I could do a little Minecraft thing. I'm not stressing out about it. It's just something. It's kind of something I want to start doing, and so my friend said, "Hey, my son's birthday is coming up. do you want to do a show? And I'm like, okay. He's like, no pressure. But I don't really know what I'm going to do either. So if you have any ideas for a story, a puppet show I can put on, be sure and let me know. Nice thing is I think, well, Ralphie, I still have to glue his mouth on, but other than that, I'm basically done with all the gluing on this puppet, which is fantastic. Unless I do legs, and then it all starts over again. I'm not the biggest fan of legs because I don't like getting kicked in the head as I puppeteer. But I can see why they'd be good for certain shots or whatever. The original Melonpool puppets all had legs, and we were constantly getting kicked in the head. Never saw them on camera. I think we saw them on camera once or twice. And from that point on, I never made them for the puppets anymore. Oh boy. I bring colors and cardstock, clothespins, and have the kids color and draw characters, uh, then glue them to the pins so everyone gets to take a puppet home. Oh, that's a good idea. I was watching a video of Nappy doing. It was from backstage of him doing one of his kids shows, and he did my favorite book as a kid. In fact, I still have the book from when I was a kid, um, which is called Drummer Hoff Fired It Off. And I thought, and he did it. He did it with shadow puppets, and I thought, oh, that's an interesting idea, because I had a couple of books from when I was a kid, one of which I love, and I would love to do as a puppet thing, but I don't know if I really have the time to completely do it or if it's even be worth it. But it was called Dooley and the Snort Snoot. It was a story about this giant who had never grown, and so he was the size of everybody else until this dragon comes to town and tries to eat all the villagers. And he gets up enough courage to say fee fi fo fum to the dragon, and then he ends up starting to grow. I love that story, and I thought it would be really fun to do as a kids as a puppet show. But that's about as good an idea as I have. Okay, 3 fingers down. I swear there's a thread right here. I also bring a selection of my builds out, and after we create paper puppets, I just let the kids put on a puppet show for the adults. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I gave the kids some of the Tilly puppets for Christmas a couple years ago, and I know they put on puppet shows with them. So I mean, they've seen Eddie, and they know all that stuff, all the 1 or 2 gags I can do with Eddie. But maybe some sort of dog show would be a good, because I do have a lot of dogs. I'm sure something will come about. I don't know if kids are all that into puppets anymore. Sorry. See, I need a full-time camera guy so that they can let me know when I'm no longer in camera. I also wish that the streaming service, the comments, there was a way, and maybe there is. I haven't been able to find a way, but I wish there was a way that whenever somebody commented, it would just make a little dinging noise or something, so that I could know that somebody's commented. Because as it is, I just have to look up and put my glasses on so I can see. Okay, so finishing up the thumb now, which is great. I still have half a thumb to go do. But... So my plan is to sew all the way up to here, to the end of it. So I'll get that, and then I'll open it. I'll turn it right side out, put the whole thing together, put the hand in there, and then get some polyfill and wrap it around there, and then sew it up. And then I'll make a little plug out of plastic that I can tie off the end on, and then it'll be ready to install. And let me show you what I was talking about. I'm going to sew all the way up to here, and then I'll sew this part to the using the ladder stitch. After I've turned it right side out, I'll wrap the string in polyfill, and then this arm will be done. No, there won't be a sleeve, but I'll get that next. Sleeves are pretty easy. The hardest part is is threading the machine. I ended up going to a couple of cool puppet events this weekend. On Saturday, the Kyoto brothers were clearing out old stock, and so I got a bunch of fur for free, which was awesome, and met some local puppeteers, which is cool. I'm trying to remember what they're the ones that do the little DIY things, the little honeybee. I can't remember off the top of my head what their channel name is. And then on Sunday, I went over to the Magic Castle because they were having a LA Guild of Puppetry puppets or coffee and donuts thing, and I met a bunch of cool people and started thinking about doing another puppet slam. So I need to come up with something for that. So otherwise, I would have live streamed on Saturday. One of these days, I'll get back to my Saturday live stream. Yeah, I need to really get in better with puppeteers in the area. I do know one puppeteer in the area, and we've done a few things together, but it'd be nice to know more. There's a cool energy that happens when you're kind of work on each other's projects. You kind of feed off the energy. I tend to get really competitive and then just keep one-upping them, but I'm kidding. But I might be making a couple more Mr. Rogers replicas because I have an idea for another slam using them. So that might be something that I do in the next couple of months. I'll probably change some of the ways I did it, but it's definitely a different type of puppetry. Okay, well, that hand's put together, which is nice. Critters is one of my all-time favorites, 80s flicks. Those brothers had such great imaginations. Yeah, and their shop was, I mean, they still have a shop. They're moving the shop, but they were closing their old one, so they were trying to get rid of stuff they're never going to use, and boy, had some cool stuff. What was funny is I was running out of red fabric for Ralph's hair. I didn't have enough for Ralphie, so I bought some more, and it came on Friday. And then on Saturday, I went there and I found the exact same fabric in their stash, and so I bought it, but I didn't really need to buy it. I actually I got some from them, so I have enough to finish Ralphie, which is good. That's what I get for hoarding fabric for 30 years. And really, that's probably as high as you're going to see on this. But I want to, it's good practice to sew as well as you can when you can. I can go a little bit farther. I'm trying to keep it lined up as best I can, although I'm off about a quarter of an inch now. Treasure trove of fabric and fur. I just like to call it my hoard. I had never met them before, and so I was kind of hoping that maybe a little bit of FaceTime and I could. I brought Zoidberg. I was going to show it to him, but then I chickened out at the last minute. So they have no idea who I am, even to this day. I want to try and get this lined up if I can, at least a little bit. Like I said, it doesn't really matter this high up because it's all going to be covered by the sleeve, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to take the slack out. So I'll just cut down the one that's a little long. You can see this is where that tick mark is, and that's where it lines up on the other side. So I'm off by about a quarter of an inch. Okay. So I need to go through my bins at some point because as I've I've had this my second bedroom set up as a shop now for I guess about 5 years total between the last apartment and this one, and the bins don't accurately reflect what's in them anymore. So it'd be nice to get that squared away. Okay. They're both the same pattern, so it doesn't really matter which hand, which left or right I put in there, just so long as I end up with a left and a right, and that the thumb goes in the thumb. It fits like a glove. Okay. I should have made these arms a little longer. Oh well. See, I could get away with it just being fabric, but oh, hopefully I have enough of this polyfill. I may have to run over to Michael's to get some more. I'm just gonna wrap it around this shoelace. And this is like the worst way, like nobody builds this way that I know of, but it it solves a lot of problems that I have with super stiff arms. I just don't want to have to deal with all that. And really, because I never put beads in them originally, it'd be kind of weird to suddenly have beads in there. And I've never had a problem with needing them. Or when I've used beads, I've never noticed that there was any benefit to it, really. I know people swear by it, but I do not. Okay. I want to make sure I leave enough fabric or enough of an opening so I can get that rod back in if I ever have to remove it. But ouch. Okay. I think these hands look pretty darn good compared to his other hand. You can see what the difference between, and granted this is brand new, but this is old upholstery foam. I think it has an armature in there. This is a skewer. I know that, wrapped in tape. And then this is polar fleece. So, yeah, looks a little bit better. This should go pretty fast. Okay, so now on this part, the trick is to not get the rod tangled up in the thread, which is super easy to do, or anything else that's on the desk. And also, when you come across a part that is not stuffed well, you want to add a little bit more polyfill in there without it getting too stuffed. Like you don't want it so tight that you have the same problem that of movement, but you want to make sure that it doesn't look, all weak. Now, I much prefer having the structure of those tubes in the arms, but different puppets have different styles. So, and when I draw it, sometimes I don't really have a defined arm either. So, I have a feeling this puppet's going to be done tonight, which is great. It may not be done this live stream, but I think after dinner I may come back and finish up these arms, and then it'll be done. And Ralphie should be a little bit easier because I don't have to make any patterns. It's just a matter of just cutting stuff out and sewing it together. Tempted to remake Sammy, but we'll see. It's like Woody when his arm got taken off. Toy Story 2. All the weird stuffing. Oh my gosh, these clips have changed my life. I thought they were the most ridiculous thing I ever saw when I was watching Adam Savage's feed, but they're great. Oh my gosh, changed my life. And they're cheap too. They were like I got like 100 of them for $8 on Amazon. I think it was about that. It was certainly under 10. I use them for everything too. Like I'll use them to clip together patterns or clip stuff to the to the wall or whatever. If I want to put a bunch of stuff together, I can pin it. I think there's a hole in them. Yeah, there's a hole in there that you can put a pin through to clip it onto a bulletin board. I have it clipped to one of the in my kitchen. I have the dyeing instructions clipped to one of my cabinets in there. I need to get more pins too, though. I've run through so many pins this last year because they end up getting covered in glue, and I just end up retiring them. See, if I was real smart, I would keep the glue one in one area and the non-glue ones in another, and then I could just keep them going. But I'm not that smart. I caught some of that F3 in there, and I guess that doesn't matter. so unruly. I am going to have to glue one more thing, but I'm going to use hot glue, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. This little lumpy arm. This is all sewed up, which is great. So his arm right now, it's got some pretty good movement to it. Very cartoony. But as compared to this one, you can kind of see why I'm not putting a structure in there at all. I really can't do much with it. Okay. So need a little bit more stuffing in there. Okay, so now I'm going to tie a knot here. At the end.
And we're going to get
my handy dandy parking sign. Or no parking sign, I guess. And a circle template. Looks like that's the one I always use. You can see how there's ink on it. So let's just do that. I'm going to need, I'm going to need 2 of them. I'll just do 2 right now. But this looks kind of small. Oh, before I do anything else, let me plug in my hot glue gun. I have to track down those clips that I bought because I plan on using them this time. Okay. So I'm going to use my clip. Maybe 2 clips. Right. Got out a drill. I don't know what size this is, but at some point I had measured that this in my little drill case. I have the notes of all the different things I use, the different pieces of the different bits for, and that one was labeled shoelaces. So It's about the same size as the eyelet. What do they call those things? All right. Well, that worked great. I'm basically just making like a button. I guess you could use a button for it too. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread the shoelaces through these holes down to the knot. And then I'm going to kind of tuck that inside there. And then I'm going to hot glue the edge of this shoulder in place to this plastic disc. And you know what? I think it's too small. It doesn't really matter. Okay, well, we shall see, I guess. I do the same thing lately, everything for its use, but I do tend to forget what I wrote down means. Yeah, there's one in there that I have no idea what it means either. But I have like arm rods. I have C-3PO pistons is one of them. I have one that's labeled for the wire that I use to put the little tubing in place. And I have shoelaces is in there too. So yeah. See, if I was doing both of these at the same time, this would be fairly fast. You know, I could just do them zip, but because I want to do good content, I want to make sure that I can show you a finished arm. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little dollop. Try not to burn myself. Try not to get any on the front of the fleece, but like I said, it doesn't really matter on this part because it's all going to be under the sleeve. Oh, I'm not even showing what I'm doing here. Okay, there we go. So let me unplug that. Ow. Just want to make sure it's all kind of set around there. Okay. That out of the way. I should have just enough to do one more arm, so I'm going to have to go get some more of this. Okay. There's the two other arms. So if I were to bet, which I better not bet, but I would say those little things are in here. which they're not. Okay, so they're not in here. Wait, are they here? You'd think I'd keep it all together, but of course I didn't. So a lot of what I end up doing is trying to figure out how I think. Like, could it be in here with all the... Well, I don't really need to find them right now, but it'd be nice. Yeah, I don't know where I did with it. I have these little clips that you can clip the arms on. And I've used them. I used them once on Zoidberg, and I haven't seen them since. So, where else would I put them? Yeah, I'll find them later. And then I'll put them in with the other arms, the other arm stuff. Okay. There's the arm. There's the little arm thing. In today's video, I will show you how I clean up my shop. Okay. So there's a fuzzy side and a not fuzzy side. I actually was going to make terry out of this. I don't think there's any stretch to this either. Yeah. I was going to make terry out of this, but I couldn't hide a seam to save my life on it. So. Oh, that's right. So I have to sew the hem on it first. See, I put the green up there so that you can put in whatever you want for my tutorial. This is super exciting for me, by the way. And one of the things I did with this pattern, which I didn't like about this one, was that it's the same size as his wrist. So I really flared it out so that it'll look like a cuff when it's all put together. That and that. A little bit more. I just want to kind of mark out how much of this fabric I need to cut out. Oh. Try not to get in the hot glue. This. I don't think I have one already set up for green. Nope. Wait. Sort of. I'll never use that green color, so I don't know why I'm keeping it. Wait, that is stuck. Why is it stuck? They say not to use those wall-mounted thread things because the UV light breaks them down. But I tell you what, it's been a good thing for me because I would constantly lose my or not be able to find the right thread. Oops. And just having it organized to some extent has helped me a lot. And when the thread goes bad, I just need to throw it out. But so far, it's been okay. Of course, I picked a color I might actually use again. I can't remember what I was using light gray for. Oh, I was using on that capybara, so I don't need it. Hey, Laura, how's it going? Of course, you come on just as I'm about to use the sewing machine, and now I'm going to be all self-conscious because you actually know how to sew. I'm good. Just finishing up this one of the arms. I'm not going to finish up both of them because that would be too much. But I probably will finish this Ralph puppet tonight, which would be great. I cannot get over what a sense of accomplishment I feel just having done this now. I think maybe because I had so much dread about doing it over the years because it was such a pain the first time. But I didn't expect there to be, this much relief at actually having it done. Okay. Ugh, got thread all over my glasses. It's like walking through a spider. I used to make my mom's clothes when I was a teenager, and she worked in a hospital administrations department and had to dress well. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I would never wear anything that I actually made because I just don't have confidence that I did a good enough job to hold up to public scrutiny. Ooh, now I've done it. Yeah. Now I remember why I hate using this fabric. Okay. It's okay. I don't want to have to get out my walking foot. I don't actually have to do a back stitch on that because I'm going to end up sewing it with the doing the back stitch on the other part of it. Uh-oh, now it's stuck. Oh, well, I don't know if you can see that, but the needle came out. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Hopefully I salvaged it. Come on, I just have like 3 more inches to go on this thing. Come on. Oh, what a bummer. Come on. Trying to see if I can keep from having to do this all over again. Here's the flat end. Oh, come on. Is it bent? Yeah, it might be bent. Okay, well. Oh, look at how good that looks. Look at how good that looks up until that point. Okay. Oh boy, it really bent it. Okay, let me see if I have any. This might be the end of this. Where would I meet? Where would I? If I was a needle, where would I keep myself? Okay, let's see. I did find my safety pins I was looking for. I think that this uses the same needles that my other one did. So if I had to, I could pull it out of that old one. There isn't though. It's actually the needle just fell out while I was sewing. I've never had that happen before. Usually, yeah, I thought there'd be a rat's nest too, but there wasn't. Oh, I have one needle left. Let's see if I can. I can't remember which. I think I put it in like that. I really should take a home ec class. Where's that weird screwdriver thing? This is my last needle, so here's hoping, everybody. Okay, that works great. So far, so good. Yeah, I don't even know the last. Well, I changed it out when I started the capybara because I was worried that it was going to be too dull. So maybe I didn't tighten it all the way when I did that. All right. It doesn't look terrible. Okay. Is this a knit? Because there's really nothing. I mean, there's no stretch to it at all. It's like a weird velour or something. I have no idea what it is. Yeah, I should really learn more about what needles are for what. I know you're supposed to use a heavy duty needle on fur or denim, but I never do. That might be part of my problem. Okay. It's a knit. But velour usually has a stretch to it, doesn't it? Well, I guess actually what I have is I don't have a double. I have a double knit, so that has a stretch, but. that's that. Oh, I still need to use it for Ralphie, but okay. Depends on the velour. Well, that's good to know. Again, like I've had this fabric. When did I? So I must have bought this fabric around 2000, 2001. So I've had it forever. So if I was ever going to match it, good luck, right? These are his sleeves. And since he doesn't have a real outfit, I just basically, you'll see how I do it. It's totally backwards, but it'll work. Basically, his body's a tube and his arms are tubes, and I just kind of fudge the seam. It's one of the good things I did about designing these characters back when I was a kid, is that there's a defined line at the shoulder, so I don't have to actually make a real sleeve. I'm sort of following the line. Uh-oh. That sounded good. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop on that one. That sounded awful. Okay. Let's see if I can get it off of here. Oh, man. What did I do? Yeah, see, this is why I never should be sewing with a sewing machine. All right. There we go. Okay. I'm not going to sew on the sewing machine right now. I'm going to finish that one sleeve, then I can figure all this out later. Sometimes the shaft that holds the needle can get out of alignment and needs to be adjusted. Really? Okay, well, that's good to know. All right. All right, so I'm going to cut this out. There's your rat's nest of what you're talking about. There we go. Okay. Okay. And what I do I'm going to poke a little hole here at the top of this. Actually, you know what? After all that trouble of turning it, I shouldn't have turned it yet. Okay. And stick the shoelaces in that little hole I just made. Come on. The nice thing is I do have plenty of this fabric, so if I mess it up really horribly, I do have a lot of this fabric. Things are awfully sticky. Oh boy, this is such a cool idea when it works. It's probably been 14 years since I did one of these though. Yeah, that's true. A crochet hook would have been good. I think usually I just make one out of wire real quick. All right, here we go. All right, now I should be able to just make sure I put the seam at the bottom. All right, so now there's his arm. It's a little long though. I'm really shocked that it's that long. It's okay though. All right, so now I poke a couple holes in here. I got to get his arm on there correctly. I guess I put it off to the side here. So what would happen is his arm, I'm not going to put it on just yet because I want to make sure I make both of them and put them in the right spot. But there's his real arm. Put this up a little more. So yeah, so that's why I want it to be all loose like that, is because, and again, I need to, I think I need to make it a little shorter. I think it needs to be about that long. So I'll just pull it apart and put another stitch in there to make it a little smaller. Because I think his cuffs need to be about right there. He's got a good inch there. So I'll fix that. But yeah, I think that looks much better than that. The tight wrist. It used to drive me crazy. Just having that little bit, like an inch extra flared out at the end there. Makes it look, and that's the way I draw it too. Somewhere I have a comic. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to it. But when I draw the comic, I Well, I don't know what happened to the comic strip. But I do have the comic strip here someplace. I should probably scan it before I absolutely lose it. But when I draw it that way too. Oh, I have it right here. See the way I draw his sleeve. That was something I discovered on the comic, is to show a little bit of his wrist and have the little flared out thing. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for tuning in to my crazy sewing adventures. I am going to finish this guy up tonight, and then I will show you tomorrow how he all came together. Maybe I'll even have some of Ralphie done, which would be great. Maybe I'll have my sewing machine working again. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining, and I'll be back tomorrow. Bye.